This episode is brought to you by Fortis Mentis Psychiatry, where Black and Brown girls can find individual therapy, mindfulness and meditation coaching, medication management, and case management. To learn more, go to fortismentispsychiatry.com/safe place. Hey girl, welcome back to a safe place for brown girls. I'm your host, Dr. Kathleen Jude Estime, psychiatric nurse practitioner. And this podcast is your space for women of color to talk about healing, mental health, and everything you've been taught to hide. If you're new here, welcome, sis. We're always glad to see you. This show is all about breaking generational patterns, unpacking what wellness really looks like for us, and creating space to breathe, to be, and to grow. Today's episode speaks to something I know so many of us have lived, the silence around mental health in the Caribbean families. Whether you're Haitian, Jamaican, or Dominican, we've heard it all. Pray about it. Don't tell anybody your business. You don't need therapy. But that silence has consequences, and that's why I'm so honored to be joined by Dr. Eva B. She's a doctor, an author, and mental health advocate for all communities. She's Haitian-born, U.S. raised, and the founder of a growing platform that centers cultural truth and psychological healing. You may know her from Instagram as Dr. Eva B., where she shares relatable, powerful content about everything mental health, wellness, especially in Black and Caribbean women. Hi, Dr. Eva. How are you?
I'm well. How are you doing today?
I'm holding on. That's all we can do is holding on. So, Dr. Eva, I know that you've built your life and your work around mental health, but tell us a little bit about you.
Well, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Eva. I was born and raised in Haiti until I was 15 and moved to the US unexpectedly. We'll talk about that another time. And then I've been here, adjusted to the American culture, which took me some time. Went to medical school, met my husband who's from Ghana. We have a couple of urgent cares. We have 3 kids. I wrote a couple of books to help generations coming behind me to know that they can make it in the medical field and have a life. So I'm really passionate about diversity in healthcare and showing all the girls out there that they can have a fulfilling life, career, and be happy.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Your work is so needed in our community. So today we're talking about how mental health is very taboo, especially in the Caribbean culture. So can we have your insight on that?
Okay, so I'm from Haiti, right? And we are thought to be resilient. Haitian people are known for their resilience. And that's not because we're not suffering on the inside. I think it's a lot with the outside and the appearance of what we're showing other people. So, born in the culture like that, you're not allowed to show the world that you have problems, that you're depressed, that you're going through it. You have to put a smile on your face, put on your best outfit, and go out and act like everything is all good. And we pass this on from generation to generation to generation, and it's very, very harmful.
Okay, so people are always telling us to pray in our culture and that prayer works and will cure everything. Tell us about your perspective on that.
Well, we know that prayer is very powerful. It gives you a sense of hope, it gives you a sense of peace, it gives you a sense of connection. So we use prayer for a lot of things. But where it causes a lot of harm is when we say to pray everything off and we use it as the only measure to pray away a disease, pray away a depression, pray away anything that you have. We use it as the only thing that there is. And that's where it can cause a lot of issues, because you're telling people that they have to suppress whatever they're going through, that whatever they're going through pretty much doesn't exist, and that if they pray, it's going to go away, which is not the case, because half the time it doesn't. So we need to kind of have a conversation about this and tell people that we can use prayer and therapy. It's
Hmm.
not one or the other.
God gave us both, right?
Right.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so, do you encounter that a lot in your practice?
Absolutely, I do all the time, So I take the time to sit down and talk to my patients and listen to them because I don't just treat illness, I just treat the person as a whole. So
Hmm.
taking the time to sit down and understand where they're coming from allows me to also give them the best advice that I can give them so that they can in turn trust me and listen to the advice that I'm giving them and not just walk out of there and do what they want to do anyway. So yeah, I encounter this all the time, especially with people of Caribbean roots.
And what are the reservations that you see that your patients have when you do address? Because sometimes, they think, it's roots. You're not a godly woman. How can you convince your patients? Because I believe in my faith. I'm very much faith based. God is the center of my being. But I believe God put everything on earth for us to use. How do you convince your patients that these conventional remedies and therapies are worth using?
I think that because of the way we grew up, we turn to our elders, our pastors, our priests for everything. These are the people that you usually go to first whenever you run into a crisis.
Hmm.
And I feel like growing up in Haiti until I was 15, I really have the best of both worlds because I was able to experience the culture deep, deep, deep. And then at the same time, come to the US and see what it was like to be in the US where talking about your issues, seeking therapy, and all that is acceptable when it's not over there, right? So me knowing that makes me, I think, a little bit more approachable to my patients because I don't automatically shut them down when they tell me something that's nonsense. I actually sit down and try to listen to their perspective and I meet them where they're from or
Hmm.
where, I meet them where they
Where
are
they're at.
pretty much.
Absolutely.
And then I try to get the best of both worlds. We talk about how they feel. I talk about my perspective and how we can meet in the middle. They don't have to do 100% what I say, but I'm like, why don't we incorporate both? So I feel like if most of the elders, the pastors, the priests were open to that kind of conversation and bringing therapy into it as well, it would definitely do wonders.
Oh, that's a point. That's awesome. Yes, I completely agree. I completely agree. Oftentimes the pastors and the leaders themselves are what's holding us behind. When our church leaders recognize that there's room for both, I think that would be the best outcomes. It would show the best outcomes for our patients and their parishioners.
I agree. I agree because it starts with them since we trust so much in the church, in Haiti that it would start with them for sure. If they could invite the therapist over in the churches to speak about that, if they could do community outreach together, events together, and just tell people that having both is fine. You can pray and at the same time seek help. Because what it does is instead it's addressing the issue head on. So instead of letting it linger and linger and linger for it to turn into a crisis, you
Hmm.
can address it right now with both. And that's fine.
Hmm.
That's actually, wholesome when you do it that way.
Correct. And one complements the other.
I agree.
So, Dr. Eva, you mentioned a little earlier in the episode that sometimes our patients pretend that everything is fine. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Well, I mean, I don't think it's just the patients. I think it's everybody as a whole, aunties, cousins, brothers, sister, friends, everyone. It's just an epidemic of looking at your neighbors left and right, and everybody has the perfect life. Nobody has issues. So when you're going through something, you feel like you're the only person going through it. You feel like you have no one to talk to because everybody left and right, front and back is perfect. And again, that is very, very harmful to everyone around because we all go through issues. This is life,
Mhm.
it has ups and downs. And I feel like because a lot of us in the Caribbean come to the US to find a better life, you don't want to look like you're failing or you don't want to look like you're weak. So you're having to like put on your best foot forward and act like everything's okay so that you don't look like you're going through it. And that is a problem because there's so many resources out there that can help people, and we're willing to suffer through it just because we want to pretend that everything's okay.
So, what are your suggestions? We have a viewer watching this episode. What do you suggest?
I think that it starts with us. In order for us to change the future and give our kids a better future, to know that it's okay to open up and be themselves and ask for help whenever they need help because there are resources available, right? And prayer doesn't fix everything. We have professionals to help for certain things that we can't rely on just prayer for. I think we can start small because you can't go from 0 to 100. So starting small, maybe opening up a little bit to someone that you trust, a best friend, a pastor, a therapist, would be a good idea. And then eventually, slowly you start to feel more comfortable with opening up. You start feeling like you have the support. And then hopefully that opens up the floodgate for you to be able to like unleash all your emotions.
Do you have any personal stories that you can share with us?
Wow. Okay. First of all, going through residency was the worst 3 years of my life. And I say that all the time. Moving to the US wasn't even it. Going to medical school, learning a new language, meeting new people, none of that. I was able to navigate through that okay with a little bit of trouble here and there, but residency was the worst 3 years of my life. And it's crazy because most people from the outside would look in and say, "Oh, look at her. She made it. She's a doctor. She's in residency. My daughter is this. My cousin is this." And meanwhile, I was suffering on the inside because the environment, the work restraints, the expectations, the nobody that looked like me, the microaggressions, and all the stuff I had to go through were just so much. And I had no support. So I really had to go through all this by myself, did not seek any help, and thought to myself, well, I'm going to suffer through it. That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm going to toughen up and I'm going to make it happen. And looking back now, it's definitely was not the way. So,
Now, how would you have done it differently this time?
oh, if I had to go back and do it all over again, I would have probably given myself some grace. I would have probably, realized that the stuff that I was going through was actually real stuff that I was going through, that it wasn't something that I could just ignore. And I probably would have taken more time for me to dig deep into my feelings and do something about it and seek therapy.
Absolutely. You talked about grace. Tell us, how can black and brown women give themselves more grace, Dr. Eva? I think you hit that resonated with me because I agree. There was a time that I did not give myself grace. So give us some tips on how to give ourselves some more grace.
I think we are in a society where us black women are having to work twice as hard just to be able to get a little bit of what the others are getting. And that's very, very exhausting. We don't also have the support system that other people have. And when we seek those support systems, sometimes it's used against us. So a lot of times we choose to like suffer through it and go through it on our own. We don't want to ask for help because it's looked upon like weakness when it's in reality it is strength. So I want black women to know that we are powerful, we are amazing, and with the circumstances that we have surrounding us and the low resources that we have to be able to stand where we are and be the most educated demographic around, we need to give ourselves props and grace for everything that we have been able to accomplish, despite the fact that the system is not for us.
No, it wasn't built for us. It's actually built against us. So, Dr. Eva, Haitians are very proud people. We really believe in our Haitian identity. And you came here as a child. What was the hardest part of trying to assimilate without losing your Haitian identity?
Such a good question. So I came here when I was 15, actually. So I was a teenager, almost into adulthood. So I knew the Haitian culture because I grew up there, went to school there, and then had to jump into America and learn this new norm and way of living. So it's kind of like you feel like you're living in two worlds. You have to go back home and respect the elders, continue the tradition, the food, the language, and then when you step outside, literally outside the house, You're in America where things are done differently, where expression is encouraged, where therapy is encouraged, where, it's not the same. So sometimes living in that in between can be very confusing. So I always tell people, just because you have both worlds doesn't mean you have to choose one over the other. You can kind of live the best of both, extract from the best of both worlds. Not,
Absolutely. I totally agree.
yeah.
Although I was born in New York, I was born in the United States, but I always tell people, although I was born in the United States, Haiti was born in me. I really truly believe, I'm Zoe to the bone, Zoe to the bone. So, Dr. Eva, you built a brand that's deeply rooted in the Haitian culture. Tell us how you did that.
Just making sure that I stay true to who I am. I am from Haiti. I grew up there. I'm going to recognize that always. But I'm also married to someone who is from Ghana. And we know the Ghanaian and Haitian culture has a lot of similarities. And I have kids now that are growing up with two different cultures. And I want to make sure that they understand that they don't have to choose one over the other. They're both of my kids are from both worlds. So it really starts with like having a conversation, letting the kids know that they can express themselves, trying to understand where they're coming from. And I'm doing the same with my brand, because I have people from all over the world following me, and I want to make sure that I stay authentic to who I am. And believe it or not, we all have more similarities than differences.
Absolutely. So, how would you describe your brand? Describe to our viewers what it means to be Dr. Eva.
I honestly think what it means to be Dr. Eva means that, you can be a whole human being. You don't have to choose just one side of you. You don't have to just choose the professional aspect of you. You can be a professional if you need to, and you can break free and be yourself at the same time. You can travel, you can have friends, you can do whatever you want to do. You can have a family. You don't have to just pick one side of you because we're multifaceted. We're individuals. We have different things that we like. So I want everybody to see me and see my brand and know that, wow, she could be a professional. And at the same time, she could have fun too.
Now, you built a really great following. So, Dr. Eva, if one of our viewers is struggling between their mental health and their identity, their Caribbean identity, what are some advice that you might have for them?
I just want to let them know that they're human. We all human. We all going through it. Don't believe the hype when everybody else is showing themselves as being perfect and they're only showing the highlight reels and not showing the struggle. Every single person is going through it some way or another. So you're not alone in this. And if you don't feel like opening up to someone close to you, seek the help of a therapist. Because with the HIPAA laws, your problems are never going to be leaked to anybody else. It's going to be between you and them. But then at the same time, it's going to be an avenue for you to seek professional help, open up to someone who can give you a different perspective and a different lens from what you have. And that will do wonders, I promise. Since the pandemic, I've been in therapy every other week. And sometimes you don't have to wait until there's a crisis to go to therapy. You could use therapy as a preventative tool, which is what I've been doing now. I go every other week. I'm religiously scheduling it every other week. And sometimes I don't even know what I'm going to talk to my therapist about. But because she's a professional, she always has a way to get something out of me to help me with life in general. Because life is hard. And we're going to go through it at some point or another. So if you are, feeling a way because of the way you brought up and switching that mindset is going to be hard to do and you don't want to talk to anybody else about it, you can at least seek the help of a therapist. That's going to help.
So, yeah, so Dr. Eva, I really like the fact that you humanized professionals, especially professionals of Caribbean backgrounds, because it gives our viewers and our patients an avenue. We are the same as them, and we can help.
I agree. I agree. Because even though I'm a doctor, I'm not perfect. And sometimes people will look at a professional as they're perfect, they have it all figured out. And it's not true. I mean, I'm still struggling with motherhood. I'm still struggling with identity sometimes. I'm still struggling with trying to find the balance. I'm just human, But when I come to a professional setting, I'm going to just be there as a professional. But once I leave, I remove that white coat and those scrubs. Trust me, I'm back to being me. So
Correct. And people don't realize, yeah. So knowledge, just because you have the knowledge, doesn't mean that you will actually use it. So we're all human and we all have our ups and downs in our mental health struggles and even in our medical struggles. So Dr. Eva, tell us what's the best way to get a hold of you?
So you can find me on all platforms,
Okay.
TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram at dr.evab. So dr.evab. And on YouTube is dr. my whole name, which is EVABEAULIEU.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your time. I know you're a busy woman, a busy professional. Thank you so much. And as my Haitian sister, be blessed.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for listening today. And for an extra special thanks to Dr. Eva B. for sharing her story, her truth, and her wisdom with us. Your voice is helping so many of us diasporas name what we've lived and finally start healing. This conversation spoke to me. Make sure you follow Dr. Eva on Instagram at dr.evab. You can find her contact information and more in the show notes below. And sis, if you're battling in silence, shame, or the weight of carrying it all alone, just know it's not just emotional work. It's strategy. It's healing. You don't have to do it alone. You can find support or book a session with me at fortismentouspsychiatry.com/help. This is your safe place and you're always welcome here. This episode was brought to you by Fortis Mentis Psychiatry, where Black and brown girls can find individual therapy, mindfulness and meditation coaching, medication management, and case management. To learn more, go to fortismentouspsychiatry.com/safe place.